Let me get in down there. Whoa! I just got hit with something.
Well, that's Len Ramirez,
Right there.
our reporter, saying he got hit with something.
Whoa! Okay, time to clear out of here. Yeah, they're starting to fire. Thank you. Of course. Thank you.
They are firing directly at him.
Whoa! I don't know if you're still with me,
Yeah, we see your shots, Len. We're right with you.
but the shot, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
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 Shots are coming in a little bit
There you
more
can see.
forcefully here.
You can clearly see police officers firing into the crowd. Appears to be some sort of a
Beanbag, non-lethal
a projectile that's intended to move people back, intended to stun people. It is not a lethal round in most cases, but you get hit with one of those, you'll know it right away, and it's apparently having the effect that they want. The crowd is moving back a bit, and police are advancing. As they advance, that crowd backs off. They've tasted the impact of those types of weapons, and they're definitely having an effect on people.
Hello, Glenn. Hey, can you transfer me back up to the booth?
Len, if you can hear us, we can still hear you, but if you're just joining us, this protest has obviously escalated from a peaceful protest that began at 3 o'clock at City Hall, took over Highway 101, shut down traffic in both directions, moved back down into downtown City Hall, or downtown San Jose towards City Hall, and has now escalated into this, a violent confrontation between police and some of these protesters, these demonstrators who were protesting the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis at the hands, or more literally, at the knee of a police officer in that city.
Yeah, for most of the afternoon, we did see the protesters keeping a safe distance with police, and that's not happening now, obviously. As you can see, there's some takedowns and some scuffles going on and things being thrown in the crowd. And that's when police declared this an unlawful assembly, and that's when they had to start taking some action. And we've even seen several arrests live on camera as well when they've gotten just too close.
Yeah, and the arrests have not had the effect on the front line of these protesters, if you will, who are face-to-face, toe-to-toe, you know, in the face of police officers as they try to move them back, walking them backwards. As Len said, no place in particular that they're trying to get them to. They just want them to go home. As Mayor Sam Liccardo said, we want them to disperse. Now police seem to be on a little bit of a quicker pace as things continue to be thrown at them, and they continue to fire the non-lethal beanbag type rounds, if you will, at the crowd.
All along, you know, we've been talking about police force and de-escalation tactics and all of this, but as police chiefs were saying earlier, former police chief Howard Jordan and others, that when it gets close like this, when it gets in your face, when you start taunting the officers, they have to do something. And as we go into the night, they just don't want this to escalate even more. We've already seen the arrests, we've seen the graffiti, and now they're just taking a stance saying, that's it, enough.
And right there in the middle of this crowd, I just saw him, we'll probably see him again, is the gentleman in that sport coat, the plaid sport coat, and that hat, head of the NAACP.
Right.
And he was down with the crowd taking a knee earlier in the intersection, but he's still there in the front of this crowd. And it appeared that he was, you know, trying to encourage people to just go ahead and back up.
All right. For folks just tuning in, we want to tell you that this is downtown San Jose, obviously, right in front of City Hall and the neighboring streets around it, Santa Clara Street and 4th. And if you're wondering why that officer right there is firing This has been declared an illegal assembly, an unlawful assembly, and according to San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo on our air on KPIX 5 just about 30 minutes ago, officers have been injured and city property has been damaged. So this is why it's being dispersed. Normally, in any big city, if there's a legal and nonviolent protest, it's allowed to continue in most cases. Once it starts to turn violent, and we've seen physical confrontations between police officers and people that are protesting, once it goes to that level, then the police chief and local officials can declare it an unlawful assembly because now it's violent. And once that happens, and police have the green light to disperse that crowd if they will not disperse voluntarily. Now you can see that that crowd is pretty fractionalized now. It's diminished quite a bit as people got the message once those non-lethal rounds are being fired and hitting people that police meant business. They wanted people to move back. So people are moving back. That line that police set up, don't cross line, is holding now, and you can see the motorcycle officers behind them as backup. But the crowd has seemed to have diminished quite a bit, guys.
Yeah, and a lot of the crowd, as Len was pointing out, are really on the sidelines, if you will. They're onlookers, and they're wondering what's going to happen next. But, you know, when we talked to Maria Medina, who was at a position about a block away, you know, she was still in a place where she and her photographer were not in a safe spot to be able to even get out of the news truck. They had seen graffiti on other vehicles, and she just didn't feel safe. So, you know, we're waiting to hear from her. Hopefully they've relocated and they're okay. And Len was caught up in that crowd, and he's trying to reestablish a phone connection. And I believe we've got him back. Len, you okay? Well, maybe we didn't get him back. Len, can you hear me?
You know, Alan,
hello.
I think what's noteworthy.
Now we can hear you, Len. I can still hear that you're in the midst of the main crowd.
Okay, Vince is gonna. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right.
All right. Well,
all right. So Len is obviously Alan reestablishing right now, and I think it's noteworthy, Alan and Juliet, that these protests are going on not just in San Jose, not just in Minneapolis. They're going on all around the country in most major cities, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Berkeley, in Oakland. They are going on almost every big major city, and this topic of police brutality or alleged police violence is really not something that's going to be settled today, but people are speaking out, and they're doing it in sometimes violent fashion, sometimes peaceful fashion. We're seeing it being played out different ways all around the country.